Yay Networks.
Hello.
Hello.
And I want to say really quickly, happy belated birthday.
Woo-woo. Thank you.
Laura's birthday was last week, so I'm sure you're still celebrating. You take the whole month.
I do take the whole month, so
Cheers
to me.
So cheers to you.
Cheers
I'm
to
Emily.
me. And I'm Laura.
And this is Cheers to That Shit. And we aren't talking at all to each other today. I don't care what you've done for your birthday or what you're going to do for your birthday, because this episode is about to be amazing.
Amazing.
We have on Trey and Zach from the Mr. podcast.
Yes.
They are getting married and they are planning their gay wedding
In 6 months.
So we are going to chat with them about how that process has been. We'll talk about their engagement.
Yes.
We'll talk about the wedding planning process. You know, what we do here.
Yeah.
And then
Because we're so professional.
I believe Trey has some questions that he's been collecting from some of their listeners.
I'm excited.
So we'll answer those as well. So we'll bring them on.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hello.
We are so excited to have you guys on. We are here with Trey and Zach from the Mr. podcast.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to do a little quick intro? Introduce yourselves?
Oh, yes. My name is Trey Stewart, and I am Zach's fiance.
My name is Zach Fluker. And shocker, I am Trey's fiance as well.
Oh my God,
we
that's
are over
good.
Yes, surprise. We are over here in Dallas, Texas, where we're having a lovely snowstorm today. So trying to keep warm and get it going.
It's not a snowstorm. It's like flurries, but the way people act, it's like a snowstorm.
Well, I'm from Louisiana, so this is a blizzard to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like storming, raining outside. So
Yeah, but-
anytime it rains, people are like, oh my God, I forgot how to drive.
Yeah, but same with the snow here.
Well, yeah, that
If they
too.
could predict snow in Raleigh and people would freak out.
Yeah. No, it'd be shut down.
Yeah.
The city would shut down.
So we started our podcast a few months ago. I have another podcast with two other friends of mine called Weekly Dose of BS, and I have heard so many great things about y'all from our podcast producers. I am so excited. So our podcast, kind of what it's about, is us trying to figure out how to plan a gay wedding, because we know how like a wedding works, but neither one of us have ever been to a gay wedding. So we heard that y'all are the experts at anything wedding related.
We try really hard.
Yeah, we try.
We try really, really
try.
hard. So Laura and I have been in the wedding industry. Well, Laura's been in it longer than I have been, but we started our relationship 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're just, taking slowly the world on is what we're conquering
love
now. But we produce wedding shows. So we work directly with wedding vendors and helping them kind of guide them through their business. So we don't ever work directly with
With the
couples, but we do know like the vendor end of it and how booking and everything goes. But I am excited to hear, I do want to hear your engagement, your proposal story. And then I want to dive into your wedding planning fun and how much fun you're having. Cause I know it's not stressful at all.
Not at
Not
all.
one bit.
whatsoever.
I'm not stressed. Okay, so the proposal, kind of how that all happened. Zach told me he had two requirements for the engagement. He was like, I want my mom there and I want my sister there. And that's all he really cared about. And there is this gazebo in Central Park on like 68th and 5th. And I always knew I wanted to get married there. That's where I wanted to propose. So it was actually, I showed Zach a picture that popped up on like my time hop that was showing me like a year ago. Today we were in New York. And so a year ago, I had planned this proposal and I took a photographer around Central Park with Zach and tested lighting. And he did not know that is anywhere what I was doing, but it was our Christmas card. But I was really checking like, how's the lighting going to be at 3:00 in this gazebo? Because that's when I'm going to do the proposal. So a few months later, I asked his mom if she would fly to New York and be there for this proposal. And then I invited his sister. And then it kind of like trickled out, like more people that found out wanted to come. And I ended up having like 11 people show up to New York for this surprise. And I was thinking, if I have 11 people coming for the proposal, I think we're going to have a lot of people at a wedding.
Yeah.
So knowing that I had that many people coming, I was like, all right, I want them to be more involved than just like, surprise, congratulations. So what I ended up doing was creating almost like this progressive proposal to where he thought we were there for an event and I left the hotel room. We were getting ready. I left to go get something at the concierge, and I had his sister come and knock on the hotel door, and his sister took him to his dad, and there was kind of this whole trail of people through Central Park that eventually led to me.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
It was like a fun way of tying in our family and our friends and making it just more of an inclusive event. I also know Zach is the kind of person that needs to process what's happening, or he won't give me the facial expression that I'm wanting.
That's how my husband is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're excited, but other people are like, are they happy to be here right now? And you're like, yeah, no, that's his excited face.
Yeah, it's chronic
you're
RFB
not getting that?
or RBF.
Yeah. So I had like a year to plan this proposal, but like that was as far as my contribution went on the planning side. So now we're trying to tackle the whole wedding planning portion, which we only have about 6 months to do.
Which I will say,
Which is crazy.
Knowing Trey for a couple of years now, I was blown away and impressed at how much thought he put into the engagement because Trey is hey, you want to go to dinner tonight? Sure, it's Friday night at 7 and we have 0 reservations, but yeah, we'll make it work. So I wouldn't say you're not really a planner, but you're not.
I plan the important things.
Yeah, you definitely put a lot of focus. So I would come home every day from work and be like, Trey, what'd you do today? And be like, oh, just lots of things, and just never really telling me. But I will say he really did
planning the rest of our lives. Thanks for asking. Next.
You're welcome. How was your day?
But yeah, he planned out all those details, and it was amazing.
So, like, y'all are getting married in 6 months.
Yes. Well, 6 months from the proposal. Yes. So we're getting married in May, on May 6th.
Okay.
So did you know immediately that that's what you wanted to do, a destination wedding?
Well,
y'all are getting married. Y'all are getting married outside of the country, right?
I had already done all of like the venue tours in Cabo before I even proposed to him. And I was like, this is the way we got it. So I kind of like already had that in mind. And then after I proposed, I was like, I have so much to catch you up on.
Yeah,
here's what we're doing.
He does this. The same thing when we bought our house. Yeah. Same thing when we bought our house together. He bought it, and then we had 15 minutes left in our option period. And he was like, oh, hey, you want to go see the house? And I'm like, sure, that'd be great. You know, so he just does it all without me, but that's okay.
So I knew we wanted to do destination just because I've heard from other friends that it can be a lot more cost effective to go outside of the U.S., especially right now with just venue fees and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love a vacation.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I would say you guys talked about that a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, like a mini
destination
vacation
versus
and,
local.
you know, I mean, there's costs associated with, you know, flying, travel, all that kind of stuff. But in the big picture, especially for the couple, it can be a huge cost savings. So
what is your guest count so far?
So we invited like 190.
Okay.
And we're expecting about maybe half of them to show up. I don't know. What do y'all usually see when it comes to destination?
So destination weddings, I do feel like more people invite a larger number because they know that not everyone is going to show up. You're going to get maybe 50%, maybe. Mm-hmm. However, I also know with gay weddings that people will show up, and
it's
then
like
more people will show up on top of those people that you didn't think were going to come.
We keep hearing that
because especially being like, where y'all getting married at again?
Cabo.
Okay, so it's like Cabo's pretty like generally easy to get to from the States, and then because gay weddings are always more fun, so everyone wants to go to that type of event because not everyone gets to go to a quote unquote, I hate saying traditional, but like non-traditional wedding.
Right.
So I honestly don't know, but I would expect more than you're probably thinking is going to show up guest wise.
And honestly, I like the fact that our wedding's a little bit harder to get to because I do not want our wedding to just be an open bar for people. I want it to be those that like actually want to come. They're going to commit to coming, like getting on a plane and like more than just putting a dress on. I like that. I think it just makes it more special.
Yeah, they're invested.
Yeah.
So you guys talk a lot about the guest experience. And so in listening to some of your recent episodes, it was like, yeah, that truly is what this is yes, it's going to be a party per se, but it's going to be a party that's outside of what we could just do here, for the holidays and whatnot. So super excited to have our close friends and family and loved ones there with us.
And that will make it more fun for you as well, is when your guests are really having a good time, when their experience is great.
Do y'all have like a itinerary or like leading up to like events? Okay, so on this day we're gonna have a welcome party. On this day we're gonna do this, and kind of making it an experienced outside of the wedding base. Okay.
So we kind of wanted to we just wanted to do one trip, especially it was like, do we do separate bachelor parties? What do we do? So what we decided is we're going to have our wedding party come in a day early. We're going to do a yacht day in Cabo, and that'll be our bachelor party. And the next day, we'll do a welcome party. The day after that, Cinco de Mayo, which is not a bad time to be in Mexico. And then we have the wedding.
Love that.
And then a day for recovery, and then head home. So we kind of stretched it out and made it. It's a thing.
Yeah, I think it's like 5 days for the wedding party.
Sounds like so much fun.
Are y'all doing a honeymoon immediately afterwards?
I don't think so. We travel so much as it is, which is also why I loved the idea of doing Cabo, because that's just very us. So I think going on a vacation, probably not. I think we'll do something more towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I actually turned 30 in November of next year. So I think we're going to do like a 2-week trip and make the first week our honeymoon, and then invite our friends for the second half or the last week and do like a friend's birthday trip.
Yes, I love that.
So much fun.
Probably go over to Europe and do a lot of shopping and see all the sights.
Absolutely. So I do have to say, that y'all are crazy for a 6-month engagement. That is why we normally talk about.
I don't know. It sounds like Trey sort of had it all figured out.
Yeah, like he went on the back and he was like, menu check, date check,
itinerary check,
got all this done. But we typically it's like a 12 to 18-month process, especially like after COVID happened, with everything being so much more difficult to book and getting everything. Like if you're going to get a custom suit, or you're getting custom, even anything like rings, shoes, if you want a special photographer, making sure that their dates are available.
Right.
Have y'all run into any issues like that? Like trying to book or make sure that you're getting what you're wanting out of it?
No.
Well,
I haven't.
No, he has. Well, so I was going to say, Trey did really great with the engagement, but I will say, I think I'm kind of taking over for the wedding itself as far as the planning. So we reached out to a couple venues, like, Trey had already done the site visits and whatnot previously, but we reached out to like 5 venues or so, and we're like, hey, what dates do you have? And pretty much everybody responded with 1, maybe 2. And so it kind of actually did help make the decision a little bit better, because it was like, all right, well, it's either this one at this resort or this one at this resort. And so then we went to Cabo and did a site tour of 2 of them. And we're like, okay, we'll pick this resort, this date. It works great. Because it was either going to be in the spring of next year, or it was going to probably end up being 2024. And I don't know. I was just so excited about the engagement and everything that I was like, all right, well, I don't want to wait a whole nother year. So
that's the hard part, is that you're like, either you can get married in, like 6 to 8 months, or you have to wait 2 years now. So which one do you want to do? You kind of have to pick your battle on, do I want to prolong wedding planning for another year and then start up, or do I want to jam-packed, get it done and move forward? Yeah.
Have y'all done gay weddings before?
Yeah, we do have a lot of our vendors who participate in, like, we don't plan weddings. But a lot of our vendors do participate in, like, we have wedding planners, florists, bakers that are part of gay weddings, and I've been to a few. So,
I mean, some of our vendors are gay as well.
Well, yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
already in relationships and have
Yeah.
experience with
So
that.
what are some of the
Yeah.
best things you've seen that like
Mhm.
make a gay wedding special for being a gay wedding?
Ooh, okay.
Outside
Good
of the
question.
norms.
Okay, so my aunt got married to her wife a few years ago, and for their reception, like they had a great dinner, and it was a very small wedding. But for their reception, they had drag queens come in, and we did drag queen karaoke, which
That's
was
fun.
very fun. Which like obviously you wouldn't really have at a straight couple wedding. So that was really fun. I love when people really put into like the pride aspect of it and the, all love wins. I love that. I also really like the last wedding that I went to was actually a good friend of mine, him and his husband. They kind of like combined their wedding party. So it was just everyone came down and they just split off, and it was a very united front. Instead of having, you're my friend, you go on this side, you're my friend, you go on this side. It was very much just like, no, we're all up here supporting because that's what we do. And
Love
that
So
that.
I
how did they
loved
do
it.
that? Like,
So because they did have both men and women in their bridal or their wedding party. So it was like, I want to say it was like 2 girls went down and then a guy, and it was literally just like every other one,
Just
oh,
one side or the other.
filtered
interesting.
off like every
Huh.
other one. And they made like a really cute arch, but it just didn't go behind the couple. So it was just like an arched out wedding party. And they had a lot of people in their wedding party, but it was just really beautiful to
Oh, I
kind
like
of
that.
see it all. And I think both of their parents walked them down the aisle, which was really wonderful to see that kind of family unitedness as well. And they
Mhm.
both had their own moment, and they both walked down to a different song, which was really cute too.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing we're trying to figure out is who walks us down the aisle. Did we figure that out?
No, not yet. I think the last place we left it was we were going to walk alone, but it's still
Okay.
very open. And
What are y'all's thoughts
Do
on
y'all
that?
want someone to walk you down the aisle?
Yeah, I was just going to
I
ask that.
think so.
I
mean,
either
do
want
you-
somebody, I either want my parents to walk me down.
Both of them?
Okay.
Yeah, both. I mean, so we had talked about it previously. Both of our parents are divorced. So I would
Okay.
love for that to be like a great moment where my
Mhm.
mom and dad walk me down. Or I want it to be a production of some sort where I would walk
yeah,
down
absolutely.
solo.
Yeah.
Smoke.
Yes.
Lights
So
come up,
one
then they go
thing
down.
Beyonce
that
in the background singing.
I mean, if Queen Bee is coming to your wedding, then I'm going to need an invite to
Do
that
you
because
have her
I don't
contact
even need a seat.
information?
Just like
He's been
have a
trying to
spot
get
for
it.
me to stand in the back.
Yes, I need her contact information. So if you know anybody, because I am trying
Okay.
very hard.
I'll work
I
on
don't
that
think
for
she's
you.
listened
Absolutely.
yet, but
She's out of budget.
I'm making it happen.
She's out of bed.
She's actually not in her budget right now. Something that I have seen too is that if you're kind of undecided, or if you did want your kind of like production moment, is having your parents walk you halfway down and then going the
Mhm.
rest of the way down by yourself, and having
Okay.
that separate
Kind of
moment,
independent.
that
Yeah.
independent moment.
Mhm.
A lot of couples, like a lot of older couple, not that y'all are old, but a lot of like more established couples kind of do that as well, where they're like, yes, I want you to walk me down, but I got it from here. I'm going to take it and I'm going to have my moment by myself, walking me the rest of the way down.
Or,
Right,
I mean,
that's-
just being a strong individual, like,
Mhm.
I'm doing this myself.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
is my
Mhm.
moment, and I'm walking myself down the
Yeah.
aisle.
Because that's kind of the, you guys have talked about traditions and what has been the norm, but kind of the whole point of it, traditionally your dad walking you down when you're the bride
Mhm.
is more like your dad giving you away, right?
Right.
That's kind of what it's intended to be.
Very
Right.
Bridgerton. Yes.
Right. And so I don't know that I like that idea actually of, both parents walking halfway. And then typically in that setup, have you seen like they have like a little aisle in the middle or something that they walk through?
Yeah.
Or gotcha.
And then
Okay.
they'll just like stand there and you'll go down, and then they'll either like follow closely, or like not closely behind, but like a little
Right.
closely behind, and then sit down, or they'll go up first take their seat and then you'll go on. So like they'll give you your kiss, like love you so much, and then you'll carry on alone after they've sat down.
Okay.
I know we talk a lot of that like traditional, but I think and we've talked a lot this year about being authentic to yourself. And I think that is really not defining like maybe what a gay wedding is like versus a traditional wedding, but just owning who you are and what kind of relationship you're in, what kind of relationship you have with your family. I know the dad traditionally gives the daughter away. Like if you have that relationship with your parents and you feel like I'm their child and they've raised me and it's really important for me to have them, kind of give me away into this new life that I'm starting, then I say go for that. If you feel differently,
feels right, yeah.
I think whatever feels right and feels good, and it doesn't have to be the same for both of you. I think it could be completely different.
So traditionally, who pays for a gay wedding?
We seriously just
had this conversation.
I get that question so often. They're like, who's paying? And I'm like, well, so we're paying for it. I'm not asking anyone for money. Like,
Right.
So this was my thought as far as like a lesbian couple goes, because I'm like, that's two women. And traditionally the bride's family pays for the wedding. So I'm like, you got two girls getting married. That wedding is about to be like balling out and they're about to have like, they have 2 wedding budget. These bitches are about to be crazy. But I personally think a wedding should be 50-50 regardless of straight, gay, whatever. Like, I think it should be 50-50.
Yeah, I think we're just there.
Yeah.
We're at that point in our
50-50.
world that it's a lot of time, energy, finances, and
it's a party for both families. You're bringing 2 families together. You're celebrating each other, but only one person is putting forth all the money towards this. And I know you sitting here with 3 boys left to get married. You're like, we're not going to do this until after they get married. But once they get married, then of course 50-50.
So I already married my daughter off, and I have 3 boys.
So you're like, I didn't budget for the boys.
No, we'll do that after. We'll change that trend then.
But that's a great question. I don't know. I think it truly depends on the couple and the family's finances. I know a lot of families want to contribute to a wedding. They do want to put something forth towards it, but I do feel like we are getting to that point where it is very much
right.
So traditionally, like the bride's family would pay for most of the wedding and the groom's family would pay for the wedding rehearsal, the honeymoon,
and the bride's
bouquet
which was weird. I never heard that before.
Yes, that's and I say traditionally very loosely. That's typically what happens. But I feel like now it's just the wedding has become so big. Now it's like, because everybody wants to have a big celebration, you've got to do something bigger than the next. I can't have so-and-so's wedding be better than ours. And destination weddings, well, yes, they can be cost effective, but because you're saving on certain things, people tend to think, oh, well, I didn't spend this on X, Y, and Z. So I have this extra money. I can do this with it. And it sometimes can kind of blow up depending on
what that something else is.
Right.
So from y'all's perspective, what are some of those things that have gotten so blown up that are like, that is not worth it. Don't do it. Why are you doing that? Like, what are some of those? Flowers.
I agree.
Yeah.
That was one of the things our wedding coordinator told us. She was like, flowers in Mexico are crazy expensive. We'll find you an alternative. But are there any parties that you're like, there's just too many showers. There's too many, like any of that stuff that's like, whoa.
Yeah, we talked about that
we
too.
Did, yeah.
Like multiple showers. I mean, flowers for sure.
For like the actual wedding, I'm so over flowers.
I mean, I love flowers.
But what about even like, so not to jump real quick, but like you talked about the bouquets, and so relating it back to flowers, how have you seen that at gay weddings? Like, obviously you don't have a bouquet, but do your bridesmaid, or not bridesmaids, but did the women in the wedding party have a bouquet? Like, obviously, I think we would have like boutonnieres, but
a corsage. And it was really pretty.
Like a wrist corsage.
The moms had a bouquet, and then some of the girls had corsages. Some of them did have bouquets, but I mean, I feel like you take take your role off of who's getting married. So if y'all are both going to have boutonnieres, which could be, I love a good like statement piece. Like I love a good statement flower or like just a statement something. So if you are going to have a boutonniere, I think that's kind of what it needs to go off of. I don't really think that the wedding party should have anything bigger or louder or
Right.
bolder than whoever's getting married, the couple getting married.
Yeah, and I was listening to your podcast about clothing, like what everybody was going to wear and what color
Oh, yeah.
everybody
We have
was
lots
going
of
to wear.
questions about that too.
Yeah, that kind of made me think about this
Yeah.
because I heard your friend talking about, the whole black and white, and maybe you guys wear a really eccentric jacket of some sort. And if that were going to be the case, then that plays right into that. Like that becomes your statement piece.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need
Mhm.
flowers. You don't need anything else that's going to outdo that. Like
Yeah.
you pick your one,
Item.
big item, and you kind of
Yeah.
take your lead off of that.
Going back to what I feel like has kind of blown up though, I do feel like there are a lot of wedding parties happening, like showers. I think one shower is fine. I
Mhm.
don't think there needs to be anything more. The other thing, which you already touched on, Trey, I think you brought this up, is the like batch party. So
Yeah.
bachelorette and bachelor parties have gotten so out of control where people are like gone for a week and then lose friendships. Like you're not in my wedding anymore.
Yeah.
So I love that you're
yeah.
having a one day. Oh yeah. We have
Oh,
her daughter
yeah, my
kicked
daughter,
three people out
three.
of three people out of her wedding after her bachelorette party.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
I love that you're doing just a one day. Let's all come together. Let's have a yacht
Yeah.
party, have a great time.
That's
And then let's
awesome.
wrap it up because we don't
Yeah.
need any more of this because
Yes.
alcohol and mixed people who've never really been
Mhm.
around each other
Mhm.
is just drama waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
it's when a lot of opinions and
Yeah.
hookups and everything else happen
Yep.
that don't need to be
And
happening.
it just, yeah. So I do think those are probably my two that it's like,
Yeah.
we could probably tone it down a bit. Like, let's have the
Mhm.
wedding be the event. We don't
Mhm.
need
Mhm.
17 other events leading up
Right.
to, because it kind of takes
Yeah.
away that special
Right.
feeling.
agree.
Like I've
That
seen these
special
people
moment.
17 times this year. Why am I?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, okay,
Well, and
when's the
especially with
wedding?
us only having 6 months to do all of this too, it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
There's only so
we
much
would
we can
need every
pack.
weekend to do something if
yeah.
we were going to do
Yeah.
it the, as you said, quote unquote traditional way.
Something that I'm very conscious of is how much money we're asking people to spend on our wedding. Because I've been to weddings where I had to spend, it cost me $8,000 to go to your wedding, from the flight to the hotel to the food to the alcohol. Like it was a lot. So we're very conscious of that. And where we ended up picking our resort, it was a little more expensive for us to have the wedding there, but they gave like a 60 to 70% discount to our guests per night
I
to
love
stay there
that.
for the
Wow.
wedding. So
Is
I
it an
think even just
all-inclusive?
tying into the
Yes.
bachelor party and all of that, it's like I want this to not be someone's second mortgage.
Right.
Right.
Well, I
No-
think
or nor
too-
yours.
Yeah, that
Right.
as well. I
Yeah.
think too, like making it. That's why I asked if you are going to have like an experience outside of the wedding, because that then is like I'm going for a vacation and a wedding, so
Mhm.
it's they can
Yes.
kind of
They can view it as
like a selfish
yes.
trip, and then I'm coming for you because I want to celebrate you both, and I want
Yeah.
to see y'all uniting together as one, which I think is
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah, and I'd totally be down for that. I mean, if I don't care how close I was with somebody, if I get invited to a destination wedding, I'm probably 99% going to go just because
Right.
I'm going to think, wow, that'd be great to have like a weekend away and get to celebrate a
Yeah.
wedding with some friends.
What
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
you
so I
say
wouldn't-
is an appropriate amount of time to send out a wedding invitation for a destination wedding? Because me personally, I want to book that ticket the second I get it so that it's as cheap as possible. But
Did you already send
normally
out
you don't
save the
send a wedding
dates?
invite.
We did. Yeah. We sent save the dates out last month, probably beginning of November. And then we're ordering the actual formal invitations to send out late January.
Well, I guess with the save the day, people know,
Mhm.
so they can
Mhm.
start
Yes.
looking. They know where they're going to be staying.
I was going to say,
obviously.
y'all have like
Yes.
a wedding website. Everything is there. Was that
Yes.
information on the save the date?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they know the
Yeah. So
resort.
we did
where
like
they're going-
an
yeah.
information card inside of it too that had, here's the resort, go ahead and book your room, et cetera. And kind of
Yeah.
gave them that,
Yeah.
rough outline of
think-
the itinerary of when to be there and whatnot.
I've
Okay.
heard the sweet spot for flights is like 45 days
Yeah.
prior. So, that's well within what any timeline is going to tell you.
Yeah, like typically it's like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I would say for a destination, maybe tack on, I would say maybe like 10 to 12 just to be safe in case anyone who got a save the date maybe isn't savvy with a wedding website or the info card. But I would say those people, you probably have already reached out to him and like, hey, grandma, like you need to book that ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel like you need a little bit more time. And it kind of goes based off to when the hotel, like the caterer, whoever, like when they need their numbers back, because you have to take that into account. If they need, hey, I need your final count 2 or 3 weeks out, then you need to add that on, because people, God love them, you can even stamp the RSVP card for them. Like, so they can literally just take a pen out to their mailbox and they still will not send it back. And then you're calling them being like,
hey, like I have other things to do besides
I don't know
call
if you know
you.
this. I'm planning my wedding. Are you coming or not?
Do you want
like,
chicken or steak?
Yeah. Can you hurry up? So I would give it a little extra space, but then I would also give yourselves space and time to be able to follow up with those people that you haven't heard back from, because there are those people that are notorious for RSVPing and then last minute not showing up. And then the people that did not RSVP, but are going to show up with their +1. And you're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, having a destination wedding, I think could intervene on a lot of that. Because if somebody hasn't booked a room or a flight, it's kind of obvious they're not coming at the last minute.
Well, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is we'll know based off the rooming list at least, who we have.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's convenient. But we're actually also doing, and I'm interested to hear your take on this. We are not going to do the traditional RSVP cards. We're just directing everybody to our website to digitally RSVP. Is that becoming more popular now, or, kind of what's your feedback on if you've seen that before and how that's gone?
I think any young person's going to be okay with that. You might want to check on, moms and dads and aunts and uncles and whatnot.
Yeah. So my sister-in-law, she got married in Northern Ireland. So they did do a like RSVP card through. She sent out like a actual invitation, and then she sent out a digital invitation, and through that digital invitation you could RSVP. And that was the first time I've seen it. But then the wedding that we're going to next week, it was a digital RSVP card.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because not everyone was local, but that was, I'm seeing it more and more, which is nice. And I think it does make things a lot easier, which is easy for you guys, because you can kind of go in and see, okay, you haven't RSVP'd yet, you haven't RSVP'd, and you kind of pick your way of following up. I like that.
Yeah, I think that is totally acceptable, and I would even say encouraged, especially with a destination wedding too. I mean, I was obsessed with the invitations for my daughter's wedding because I'm a creative person, and like I probably spent more money on that than I should have. So that was super important to me. But I think for the ease of where we are, like today, it's so much easier to just click a yes or no.
So I was listening to y'all's episode Inspo Overload, and there was a point Zach sent me. He was like, "Oh my gosh, you have to listen to this." And it was, y'all were talking about influencers, and you mentioned you didn't want to call anyone out, but I went on a bachelorette trip like 2 years ago, and the girl that was planning it had a substantial following, and it was kind of weird because the trip kept changing. Like, we were going to be at a hotel, and then we rented an Airbnb, and then she like switched the Airbnb last second, and we go on this trip, and it was literally the whole trip was a paid partnership for her, the entire thing. And I came home, and I got on my other podcast, Weekly Dose of BS, and I ripped her a new asshole. I told all 60,000 people that listen to our podcast what she did, mentioned her name, mentioned it all. And then I saw her at the mall.
Oh, shit. You were like, fuck this bitch. And she's like, oh, hey, honey. And you're like, no, thank you. Bye.
No, she was like, how dare you? And I was like, how dare me? How dare you? I was like, I told you to your face what a bitch you were. And then I went and told everyone else as well, so that next time you do better. But it was
first of all,
it was free. But still, it was the weirdest thing. I was like, what is wrong with you?
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, you've just lost complete sight of what the whole purpose of the weekend is supposed to be about when it becomes a paid partnership and,
But
changes 50,000
I have
times.
questions because I have I have so many questions. One, how often was she posting? Like, was she making a lot of stories and
She was
tagging
posting.
people
Well,
throughout?
so she made a lot of stories, but then she had a photographer come to the house every day to shoot her content. Mind you, we were out of
No.
town, so she got a hair and makeup team for herself, not the bride.
Ew.
Every
Ew.
day had a
Wait,
a
not the
photographer
bride?
every day.
Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about a bride. This was
Oh, yeah, this
a
wasn't
the
bridesmaid.
bride?
This was the bride's maid.
or like the maid of honor.
Oh,
Yes. No, and the bride was
she
too
kicked
nice to
out
say
of the
anything.
wedding?
She ended up making it in the wedding, yes. But
Oh,
the bride was too nice to say anything. I was like, I'm not too nice. I will absolutely say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the craziest thing.
yeah.
And I was
didn't
like,
realize
so I was
it
telling Zach, I was like, for our
bridesmaid
wedding,
you were talking about.
oh yeah.
That's
Like for
Yeah,
our
no,
wedding,
that-
I don't want like, Shutterstock on the back of my suit. Like the extent of us monetizing our wedding is going to be this podcast. But also, like, I enjoy documenting this. So this is kind of a little more
Right.
of a natural
there's
fit
differences.
for
There's a
us.
difference between documenting
having
an
something
event
sponsored.
and having something
Yeah.
sponsored. Yeah, where
Yeah, that's to me is just so tacky. Yeah, the one that we talked about, I just like it gets to a point where you're on your honeymoon and you're still having to like shout out these people and these businesses that you're
Yes.
like, hey, I just want to shout out my luggage is by my blah blah. Like,
yeah.
it's not fun anymore.
That's
Mhm.
well, I mean, again, it's supposed to be an intimate moment,
Yeah,
for the two of you. So you completely lose sight of
sight.
reality, clearly.
Yeah.
And, Instagram versus reality, we've all heard that. But going back to the inspo overload, what really sucks for people who aren't influencers, who are getting married, is who see all of this stuff and think they
Yeah.
can have that.
Right.
And I mean, I guess you could if your bank account has a bunch of zeros on it, but most people can't. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
not attainable.
disheartening
Yeah,
to see someone on social media saying, we did this, we did that, and
yeah,
and then not be able to
yeah.
get
It
it.
is tough. I have a friend that's a reality TV producer, and he has done a few weddings that have been on TV, and he'll always hear from friends like, I want that wedding. He's like, I promise you really don't, because
Yeah.
she walked down the aisle 6 times before we got the
Right.
shot we needed, and she could get
Right.
married because you're working and you're going to do this until we get the shot right. And it's
That's
just,
awful.
I'm like, it's not all it's edited out to be.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that.
Do y'all have a wedding planner?
Zach.
I'm here.
Zach does events and stuff for work, so this is very
Okay.
much like in his wheelhouse of things that he
Yeah.
likes. I feel like if we had a wedding planner, she would kind of just be his bitch. So
Okay.
he's taken it.
We had one for like 4 days, and
Oh, okay.
Zach hated all 4 days.
yeah, I didn't enjoy any of it.
Are you very
So,
type A person?
Oh, capital TYPEA for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
But it was more the thing I'm having the most fun with this is kind of some of the things you guys have talked about in the past is I did the whole download the checklist and read this and that, which has been helpful, yes. But the first thing I did when I downloaded those checklists were cross out everything that I didn't want or that
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't care about. And that has been the most fun of this is like, okay, yeah, we've all been to weddings. We all have seen what this, is supposed to be.
Right.
But I don't care about that. Or
Right.
I didn't enjoy this at all these weddings that I went to. Yes, there are parts
Yeah.
that I want to keep, but you guys even mentioned like throwing the cake in, the bride and groom's face or whatever. I don't care about that. I don't even think
Yeah.
we're having a wedding cake. I think we're
Well, that's
just doing dessert.
That's
Yeah.
kind of cathartic then to check off a bunch of shit you're not even going to do. It'd
It
be like
was,
done,
exactly.
done, done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
absolutely.
we're, 6 months was a great timeline at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that I
But-
would say is if there's somebody that's going to be on location at the resort that can kind of take control, or even if it's, I hate to even suggest this because I always say no, but like, guest, family member, somebody that can be your
Like
go-to
take the flame
person.
from you, so
Like-
that
And we'll
your
have a
wedding
day of
day-
coordinator, like with
Yeah.
the
Okay.
resort.
Yeah.
They provide that. And then we've kind of already tasked like some of our wedding party. It's like, all right, y'all are our first line of defense. Make sure this shit doesn't hit the fan. But also,
Okay.
everything in me knows that day of, Zach will have an earpiece and a radio, and he'll be talking to all of like the resort staff. I know that's going to happen. And but that's what like.
Yeah, I'm gonna
his
have
area
to
is.
get a Mexican phone account for that trip, just so I
Yeah.
can
I
call
think-
all the workers.
Yeah.
I think this kind of makes me think of the whole DIY thing, because we've talked about that too. People
Like
who,
in a much better
well,
way.
no, but I mean, like if you like doing it,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
doesn't stress you out,
Mhm.
that's one thing. If it's like a source of anxiety and sleepless nights, then then you're going to want to have somebody to help you do all that. It just kind of made me think of the DIY,
Yeah.
because that's what we talked about when you're trying to save money and
Yeah.
DIY. Like, don't do anything that's giving you stress and anxiety. If
Mhm.
if you need a break, then have somebody there to help you with it.
Yeah. So I get questions all the time when we're on a podcast, people asking us for wedding advice. And I'm like, we are over here struggling, trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. But
we're asking
thank you
you.
so much for
We
thinking
don't
that I know
know.
what's going on. So I posted them on my story this morning and asked people what questions they have for you guys. So can I throw y'all some rapid fire questions?
Yes.
Sure.
All right. This was a big one. So traditionally at a wedding, there's a bouquet and a garter that's thrown. What do you do at a gay wedding? And what are some alternatives
no.
to that?
Yeah, I crossed it off the list already.
Yeah. No, it's a no for me.
Yeah. That's so antiquated.
So no. Yeah. Just no. That's my
What are some trends you wish would go away?
Oh God.
I am so over the flash dancing
Yeah.
at weddings. I'm
I'm over any kind of the electric slide, the Cupid shuffle, the
yeah,
whatever,
that,
all of
but
that.
just like the dances
Is that what
like,
you're talking about?
No,
Oh.
like when like the one part of the wedding party will like choreograph a dance to do.
Oh, like coming down that, like getting introduced and coming in?
No, like at the actual reception.
Oh,
like they
okay.
they literally
Like a flash
I'm like,
mob?
Yeah.
yes, like a big
Oh,
flash.
okay.
I'm so over that.
Yeah.
I am
God, there's
I know. I'm like, what do I'm
Yeah.
over. I think there are a lot of new trends coming out, and that's where my mind has been.
Yeah.
I think the flash mob is probably the biggest thing for me,
Yeah,
that
the
I'm just like,
dancing thing for me.
anything that takes attention away off the couple,
Yes.
unless the couple is involved in it or is like super for it, just like don't do that. Don't do
Okay,
that.
so let me flip
Like,
that. What are some new trends that you like?
Okay, so
yes.
I am loving right now that like the 70s and a little bit of the 80s are coming back. Disco ball
the disco
moments
ball, yeah.
are
Mhm.
happening.
But not as a disco ball,
as disco ball, as
in
like a
decor.
feature. Yeah, like
Yeah.
as like a light feature or like in the decor, and like the colors, big bold colors are coming back, not like the jewel tones, but like nice
Mhm.
big pops
Vibrant,
of color,
yeah.
vibrant colors are coming back. People are getting now like couple specific scents, so they're getting
very
Mhm.
like
aromatic things that are
yes, like bespoke scents is what's happening now, which I'm loving that too. So if y'all had like a soap or something, since you're going on a destination, if you made a scented something for your couples to use, like a body scrub, like get this in for your wedding, whatever, and then you had that scent throughout your wedding, it would be an association. I'm loving kind of those.
Yeah. I love making your own traditions. Like instead of wearing a lot of girls will put things in their bouquet or ribbons or things from loved one, things like that. Just kind of going off of that concept, but starting something for yourself that you can continue in your family.
Yeah.
And make your own tradition.
that.
Yeah.
What are some ways you can establish privacy for a ceremony when you're at a resort? That was a big question I got too.
Getting any type of like staple wall put in, like a good like statement piece, or having really beautiful drapes coming down. So, and they don't have to be Like they can be translucent. They don't have to be solid pieces of fabric, but anything like that to space off or having something that really separates yourself from having other, because you got to
like
think
some sort of like backdrop where the ceremony is actually going to take place.
My thing is pictures. Think about where you want your pictures taken, what angles you want them from. If you want your photographer, which I highly, highly, highly recommend, to be behind whoever's marrying you so they can get y'all together and then the people sitting behind you, then you need to have something cutting off anyone looking onto the wedding from behind your guest seat sitting down. Like that is something,
especially being in like the lobby area.
Yeah.
You don't want random.
Think about where you want your pictures and what you need to block from that. That would be my biggest suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a very specific write-in. Someone said that they have a friend that wants to perform, like sing at their wedding, but they're not a good singer.
No.
How do you write that to someone softly?
Cheers to that shit.
So this goes back to, we did a whole thing about gifts, and I know this is a little off of that, but this goes back to because they like it doesn't mean the couple likes it. Oh, I would love to sing and give you that gift of my voice at your wedding. That's what I want to do for you. Okay, it's not your wedding.
Yeah.
Get me something I want.
I think you have to handle that in such a delicate manner because you don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
And you don't want to be like, well, your voice sucks, so I don't want you to sing at my wedding. But I think maybe a really nice way to say that would be, I love that you want to do that. But for our ceremony, we are really having to keep it in this timeline. We always say, push back on someone else. Let me run it to my wedding planner and see what they say.
You need a bad cop.
Yeah, you have to have a bad cop. So like put it off on someone else if you don't feel comfortable taking that
all
on.
the song selections have already been chosen.
Yeah, my
Thank
planner
you
has
so
already
much.
set the timeline. I'm so sorry. Like we have to do this because it's based on the photographer and the cocktail hour. But I love you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate all of your advice and your expertise because honestly, we've only had like amateurs on with us so far giving us wedding advice. So it is nice to have some professionals on board.
We're so professional.
So professional. No, this has been so much fun. If y'all have any other wedding questions, we would love to be able to like come back together. I want to hear how your wedding actually went.
Absolutely.
So like I want to know.
We will
like, how this
absolutely be
all
following up with
plays
you on
out.
this.
Yes, we'll have to do that because this has been a lot of fun.
And pictures.
Yeah.
Must
oh my gosh.
see pictures.
Yeah. And congratulations to you guys.
I
This
know.
is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, guys. So tell our listeners where they can find you at, where they can listen to your Mr. and Mr. podcast.
You can follow me on Instagram at Trey_Stewart, and you can subscribe to our podcast anywhere that you get your podcast, the Mr. and Mr. Podcast.
You can follow me on Instagram at Zach_Luker.
And where can we find you guys?
So we are on Instagram at Cheers to That Shit, on Apple and Spotify, as well as YouTube. Cheers to That Shit. But shit on YouTube is S!T!
Awesome.
Yay!
Thanks you guys so much. That was so much fun. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank
This was
you.
awesome.